Evening then, everybody. You join me as I take a ride, about an hour away. I've been going for about half an hour already. As I take a ride out to a bike night over in Nantwich. So first things first, I just want to say welcome to the first moto vlog on my channel. This is the first time I've been out on the bike with a microphone inside my helmet, and I'm not really sure how the audio is going to come out. So first of all, I apologise if this video starts irritating those of you that wear headphones. We've got a lot of wind noise and we've got a lot of rattling and I sound a bit muffled. But I'll do my very best and we'll just see how this one comes out, and if it's bad, I'll move the microphone. But, shall we jump straight into it? What are we going to be talking about this evening? So with this moto vlog, the first one of hopefully many more to come, is going to be focused on the top 10 questions people are Googling before they start to learn to ride a motorcycle. Absolute bloody sod's law, isn't it? I've been on this road, it's been clear the whole time, I pull over to sort out the microphone and I get stuck behind a great big lorry and a Dacia Sandero, who we all know is never going to make an overtake. And this road, whilst it is lovely and twisty, does not make for a very good road for overtaking. So we might be plodding along for a little while whilst we do this vlog. Anyway, so as I say, we're going to be talking about the top 10 questions people are Googling before they learn to start riding a motorcycle. And for those of you here in the UK, you probably wouldn't be surprised to find out that those questions tend to revolve around the topic of the CBT. So, shall we jump straight in and find out what the 10 questions are, and I'll give you my answers. So the first question that comes up when people are searching, or the most searched question apparently by new riders according to Google statistics, is what is a CBT and do I need one? Well, the CBT stands for Compulsory Basic Training. So as the title suggests, Compulsory Basic Training, the word compulsory would say that yes, you do need one. So before you can even legally ride a bike here in the UK, you do need to undertake your CBT. Obviously, you can ride a bike in a field, you can ride it off-road, you can ride it on private land. But to ride it legally on the road, you must undertake your Compulsory Basic Training. And we'll go into more detail about what the Compulsory Basic Training is, what it involves, how long it takes, what limitations and stuff you have once you've taken your CBT to learn to ride. And we'll hope that in a few minutes I might be able to get round these lorries. I'll get around this car and we'll set myself up to get round this lorry at the next straight. If it's clear, obviously.
I think. Awesome.
There we go, bit of clear road ahead of me. But that may have made things worse. We may now have a lot of wind noise. Anyway, as we move on with this video, question number 2, the second most searched question on Google regarding learning to ride a motorcycle is, what bike can I ride with my CBT? Well, that will totally depend on your age. So if you're 16 years old, you'll be allowed to take your CBT. You'll be able to go out and undertake the training and do your compulsory basic training. And that will allow you at 16 years old to ride a 50cc motorbike or moped. So you're limited to 50cc's. If you're 17 or older and you're learning to ride a motorcycle and you do your CBT, you will be limited to riding a 125. So something with 15 brake horsepower at the most. I think it's like 30 something kilowatts, 15 brake horsepower at the absolute most. And that is going to be your limitation on what bikes you can ride with a CBT certificate. The next question that comes up a lot is, how long does a CBT take to undertake and how much does it cost? So that's a bit of a double whammy. There's 2 questions in one there. So the CBT is a single day of training. It's one day, it's around 6 hours, maybe 8 hours, depending on the training school, and it's split into 2 halves. The first half is all off-road. You're going to be in a car park, in a training centre, understanding the basics of riding a motorcycle. So they'll show you all the controls, the clutch, the brakes, the gears, they'll show you how the best way to go about steering. They'll just give you the basics that you understand, so that when you get on the bike, you kind of know what you're doing. And they're going to put you outside in a car park, pottering around until you feel comfortable and safe. And then normally you'll break for lunch, and then they'll get you back out on the road. And that is like a 3 to 4 hour stint of putting everything you've learned in the car park into practice, whilst getting over those initial nerves of trying to dodge traffic and avoid Karens in Qashqais and taxi drivers on phones. So it's a game of dodge, basically, after your training, putting all those skills you've learned into practice and getting a real taste for what it's like out here in the real world on the road. And, funnily enough, they will probably put you in one of the worst scenarios, which is urban riding, where there's 1,000,001 cars driving around. They won't take you onto a nice stretch of country road like this for it. They normally take you into a city centre and throw you in at the deep end. And then, after you've done the 4 days training, if they deem you safe enough, if they say to you, and they've watched your riding, and they say to you, you are safe, we think you are a qualified, or not qualified rather, we think you're a safe enough rider, you're sensible, then they'll give you a little piece of paperwork which gives you the right to ride a motorcycle on the road with no more training or thought in it after that at all. Training itself will cost somewhere about 120 to 190 pounds, depending on where you live and depending on the training centre you pick. I chose the £190 option. I did find it cheaper elsewhere around Chester, but I looked into the various training centres and I decided on going for the more expensive one, because the lads where I did my training at the Ride Academy in Chester were absolutely fantastic. The bikes were really new. I just felt confident with their jabber, as it were. When I phoned them and had a chat, he's giving it some licks. Yeah, I just felt confident with them. I felt like, well, that's nice as well. Sick. Yeah, like I was saying, getting distracted by the nice cars. Yeah, I just felt confident with who they are, the bikes they had, the gear that they put you in to learn, the environment and the training facility in general. I just thought it's probably worth the additional £70 to go with a training centre that just felt right, especially for something that was so new to me, having never ridden a bike before. Okay, so on to the next question. How long is a CBT certificate valid for? So this is a fun one. Here in the UK, your CBT isn't like one and done. Your CBT certificate is only valid for 2 years at the absolute most. So you've got 24 months, 2 years worth of CBT riding. You're not allowed to ride after that 2 years without undertaking your test all over again and going back and doing that training. Now this is the first thing that I'm going to rant about when it comes to the UK licensing system, because I think the whole thing is an absolute mess. The whole thing's flawed. So yeah, you get people that are riding around on their CBT certificates for forever, basically, year in, year out. They'll go and do their CBT again because they're using it for work normally, then without tarring everyone with the same brush. They tend to be Deliveroo riders, Uber Eats riders, that sort of stuff. And they're just tazzing around on these 50cc 125 mopeds and stuff, whipping about, delivering your dinner, trying to make a living, trying to make ends meet, as it were. But they don't do any additional training. And the absolute crazy thing about that is that this lack of additional training means they never have to undertake anything like a theory test, which is bonkers, because the theory test teaches you absolutely everything you need to know about the road. Let's say you can't drive, you're 17 years old, you've got a job as a Deliveroo rider, you jump on a moped or a motorbike after you've done your CBT, and then you're just expected to understand what the road signs mean, what the road markings mean, how the traffic light systems work, how roundabouts operate, without doing any additional theory training. To me, that's absolutely fucking bonkers. So anyway, that's my first little rant about the UK licensing system. The next question is, do I need a UK provisional license to undertake my CBT? Well, short answer, oh, I love that exhaust. The short answer is yes, obviously. Because if you haven't got your provisional license, how do they know who to register the CBT certificate to? How do they know that you're allowed to ride on the road? So if you're 16, 17 years old, looking at trying to get your first sense of freedom out on the road, you're looking at getting a motorbike, stepping onto 2 wheels, then what you need to do, the first thing, is get down the post office, get that paperwork signed, sealed, delivered back off to the DVLA, get your provisional license in the post, get that thing sent out to you. You get that green bit of plastic, And with that, you can go out and do your training and start to actually feel the freedom of the road in front of you and no longer have to rely on the taxi of mum and dad. How exciting does that sound? So yes, you do need your provisional. The next question was a bit of a weird one. It used to come up and I was a bit flabbergasted at this one. A lot of people are asking, apparently, or at least searching, if they can use their own bike to do their CBT. And now, the answer is yes, you can. But I would be asking the question, why would you want to? You're just going to make it more complicated and more convoluted. Because if you haven't got your CBT certificate, you've got no formal training, and you don't live with or have a parent or guardian who is a riding instructor, how do you intend to get that bike to the training centre to undertake your CBT? Legally, you'll have to have it trailered there or put in the back of a van and taken there. And then, if you fail your CBT, because you can fail it, if you're a bit of a goofball, bit of an idiot, you can fail your CBT. And I apologise to anyone who has actually failed their CBT. I didn't mean to call you an idiot. I meant if you're a bit of a goofball and you've got a bit of whiskey throttle about you and you're showing off, they can tell you you haven't got your CBT. They can withhold that certificate even after the training. Then if that happens to you, what you're going to do, you're going to have to trailer it back home again, aren't you? You're just making things far more convoluted and complicated. And 9 times out of 10, a training centre will not reduce the price of the CBT because you're bringing your own bike. It doesn't matter that you're offering to bring your own bike, they'll still charge you full price. Because that's their business model. They're in it to make money at the end of the day, and the profit margins at training centres, despite what you think, aren't that big. So yes, you can take your own bike, but I would really question what on earth you were trying to achieve by doing it. Don't make it more difficult for yourself, just use the one that they provide. So on to the next question. What restrictions are in place for riders with a CBT certificate? So again, this depends on your age. If you're 16 years old, I've already touched on this, the restriction is you're limited to a 50cc moped or motorcycle. And if you're 17, you can ride up to a 125, so you're limited to a 125cc motorbike. The other limitations come in the fact you can't take pillions, you will not get insurance for pillion cover. It's only you solo riding out and enjoying yourself on the bike. You cannot take your girlfriend, your best friend, your boyfriend, your mum, your dad, anyone. You can't put anyone on the back of that bike with you legally. The other restriction comes in the fact that you have to display L plates front and rear. Now, this one's a bit of a tricky one because, we all know that we run them on the rear of the bikes. It's easy to put one on the rear and they don't look too dreadful. But putting them on the front of the bike's a little bit more tricky because where do you mount it? And we all know as well that riding a bike is about looking cool. It is about street credit. Riding around with a big white and red learner plate flapping around on your front forks, sitting up the top over the top of your fly screen or whatnot, just looks a bit naff, doesn't it? So 9 times out of 10 riders tend to just not put those on. But what I would warn you about is if you are riding without a front L plate, then Mr. Police Officer, the old Bill there, could, completely within his rights, pull you over, give you a fine, even include points, because technically without an L plate you are invalidating your insurance. You have gone against the terms and conditions of your license and your insurance, and at which point you already struggle when it comes to insuring your bike in the following year because you've now got points and a punishment on your license that you have to declare. It's a real pickle you'll be putting yourself in. So you'll have to ask yourself the question, is street cred worth it? What I will say, there are ways around it. You could, I'm not saying you should, but you could put your L plate in a backpack or under the seat and claim to the police officer, it fell off, officer. I will be putting it back on when I get home. That's, your call. I'm not saying you should, but you definitely could try that angle if you wanted to. And it would be down to the police officer's discretion whether they actually believed you or thought you were an absolute whopper trying to pull the wool over their eyes, because 9 times out of 10, well, the police weren't born yesterday, were they? So they'll probably know what it is you're trying to pull with that line. But again, yes, it's completely up to you. You decide how you want to live your life. Okay, so what's the next question? Another really popular question that comes up is, what license routes do I have to take after my CBT? And this is where I might go on a little tangent and another little rant about the UK licensing system. But let's first start by answering the question. the licensing routes you have available to you after you've undertaken your CBT all depend on your age. Okay? So, if you are 17 years old and you've got your 125 and you're razzing around on that and you're enjoying life, but you want to be able to take the L plates off, you have your A1 license that you can take. So that's the first step, A1. Now, this to me doesn't really make a lot of sense, because all you're actually gaining from that is the ability to take pillions on your bike and to remove the L plates off the bike and ride legally without them. You are still limited on an A1 license to 125 cc's. You will not be allowed to ride a bike any bigger than that. So yeah, and you still have to go through the same rigmarole of doing the A2 and the A1 and the full A license. You still have to go through the full rigmarole of doing both those licenses. So you still have to do your module 1 and your module 2 tests and your theory test and everything just to get your A1. So, but again, like, who am I to tell you what to do? You might be 17, 18 years old looking to do your A1 license just because you don't want the L plates on the bike anymore. And you want that freedom to be able to take a friend or a passenger on the bike. Or 125 might be perfectly adequate for what you're looking for your bike. So yes, A1, that is the next step, and that is limited for people that are 17 and 18 years old. The second you turn 19, you can skip the A1 and you can go straight to A2. The A2 license does unlock a little bit more for you. So again, it's the 2 tests. You do your theory test, you do your module 1 and your module 2, and you'll get your A2 license at 19 years old. And this allows you to ride an A2 category bike. Now, an A2 category bike is limited to 30 something brake horsepower. Normally it's a piece of software, so you can find yourself buying fully fledged bikes that just have a limiter on them, that just have a power limiter, which means in the future you'll be able to unlimit those bikes. So when you finally progress onto your full A license, you'll actually have a full grown bike, a full adult bike that you can enjoy and ride and not have to worry about the financial outlay or the stress of having to find another bike and replace it. So that's the A2, and that's available from 19 years old up to the age, I think, I'll put the correct age on the screen, but I want to say 24 years old. Now, if you're 24 years old, you've got no riding experience and absolutely zilch time in the saddle, you will be able to progress straight onto your A license, your full A license. This is no restrictions. This will allow you to jump onto an absolute fucking piss missile straight after passing your test and get out there, start ripping up the streets and enjoying yourself on your dream bike. You can also skip straight to the A license at the age of 21, is it? Yes, 2 years after passing your A2 license. So if you've done your A2 at 19, you've been riding around for 2 years on an A2 license, you can also now apply to undertake your full A license. So that will then get you completely de-restricted and out on the road on any bike of your choosing. So they're the different license routes that are available, the different age categories and stuff after you've done your CBT. What I would say is that they're all identical. So you have to do your module 1, your module 2, and your theory test. So the first step is CBT, then it's theory test, that's about £30. You'll go and sit and answer some questions, and you'll do a hazard perception test. And then after that, you'll move on to actually doing your module 1 training, which is about £500, and your module 2 training, which is about £500. So all in all, with all your tests and everything included, you're looking at about £1,030. That's about what I paid to do my license and training. So that is the different license routes you can take after your CBT. The next question that comes up quite a lot is, what gear do I need before undertaking my CBT? Well, the answer for that one is nothing. Nada. Zilch. You do not need to own any motorcycle gear before undertaking your CBT. You can go in with absolutely nothing if the training school is worth its salt anyway. The one I used provided me with a bike and all the insurance for that and all the fuel and stuff. It provided me with a jacket, it provided me with gloves, and it provided me with a helmet. And that was all I needed. They told me to come in a pair of decent jeans. They provided waterproofs on the day it was raining. But they told me to come in a pair of decent jeans and a pair of sturdy trainers. Now, they do recommend, here's a little bit of advice for you, pro tip, they do recommend you do not wear steel toe cap boots on a motorcycle. And I know many, that exhaust, I know many riders will go against me on this one. They will still ride in their steel toe cap boots, believing it's giving them some sort of protection. And it is to a degree, but steel toe cap boots tend to be, not all of them, but many of them are designed purely for that top-down force. So if you drop a hammer on your foot, if you drop a heavy tool, if you're working in steel work and you drop something heavy on your foot, the steel toe cap boot is designed to protect your toes from being crushed from the top down weight. What they're not designed to do is protect from lateral force, side to side squeezing. And what do you think happens on a motorbike when someone pulls out into the side of you from a junction? You suffer the lateral force, don't you? The bike gets crushed or hit from the right or left hand side. And the steel toe cap inside those boots does not withstand that. It bends and it eventually crushes your toes and traps them inside the boot, and you could end up doing a lot more harm than good. So bear that in mind when you're picking boots or you're thinking about safety gear to do your CBT, or even if you haven't invested in boots yet and you're looking to go into it. And finally, the last question that comes up all the time, apparently, when people are searching for their CBT and getting onto a bike, is how much does it all actually cost? Well, all I can do at this point is talk from my experience and relay that message. I know people will have been able to do it. Whoa, you're indicating wrong, aren't you? Interesting manoeuvres. Oh. Anyway, he was definitely indicating off at the other junction. We're off down here. Let's behave. There's police normally down here. Yes, so how much did it all cost? And as I say, all I can do to answer that question is talk from my own experience. And I'll say from my point of view, it wasn't that cheap. And I know for a fact you can do it cheaper. So for me, it was CBT, £190. There was then the theory test, which I think was £25. There was the module 1 training, which was give or take 500 quid. And then there was the module 2 training, which was give or take £500. So you're looking at that point, what's that? £1,190, £220. 1,220-ish quid just to get the license. And then on top of that, you've got your license now, you want your bike. So for me, I've had 2 bikes now. I bought my first one after my CBT and cut around on a 125cc bike for 18 months. And what I'll say there is, learn from my mistakes. I bought a bike on finance and I lost a lot of money on it. They had a really good offer on the PCP. There was a good PCP offer, personal contract purchase. I bought it and then I had to pay to get out of it when I passed my full license. So keep that in mind when shopping around for your bike. I think we're going down here. Navigate this roundabout. We are indeed. So yes, oh, here we are. We're at the bike night. We're already here. Amazing. Yeah, so, fucking hell, look at all these bikes. What I'll do, I'll go in here, I'll enjoy myself, and I'll finish this vlog on the way home. Because I just want to let my hair down for a bit and have a look at some cool bikes. Okay, what I'm actually going to do is finish the vlog from over here because, well, I'm here now and I want to enjoy myself. So what was I saying before I pulled in? How much does it all cost? That was where we're at, wasn't it? So I've outlined the cost of actually getting your A license, your full license. And after you've completed your full license, you've got the option of getting a cheap bike or getting a more expensive one. Now, I was a fool. I've already explained this. I follow my heart. And for me, what I would say, when you're buying a motorcycle, it is all about buying with your heart, not your head. 9 times out of 10, because as we all know, bikes aren't sensible. Bikes are a luxury, they're not an essential item. Well, not for many of us anyway. I don't want to alienate people who need a bike to get around. But here in the UK, it tends to be much cheaper to buy a car. So from where I'm stood, it didn't make any sense to buy a sensible bike. It made more sense to buy something ridiculous and fun and enjoyable. So for me, you've already got your A license. I went out and spent $6,995 on my bike.
But there were cheaper options, and you yourself might actually go out and find yourself a cheaper option. So the running total here can be skewed significantly by the cost of the bike. Then after that, you've got your gear costs. You're going to need a helmet as a bare minimum. My particular helmet, I got it in a sale. It was £350, marked down from 700. So you can see there is a massive scale between cheap helmets and affordable helmets. I've done a whole video on helmets, buying premium, buying cheaper. Go check that video out if you don't know much about helmets and you want to do some research into buying that. Then on top of that, you've got your jacket. So I think this particular jacket, my wife bought me this as a birthday present. It's £250. It is Alpine Stars. It's got lots of protection. There are better jackets. So you can spend a fortune and you can also get cheaper jackets. So again, it's a massive variable. I've got a couple of pairs of gloves. They range again between 50 to 200. So you can spend up to £500 on a pair of decent gloves. Then you're going to have your jeans and your boots and all sorts of stuff. So in total, you probably want to be estimating for a new rider somewhere in the region of £1,000 to £1,200 for a decent set of gear. So as you can see, it does all soon start adding up. Anyway, that is the end of the vlog. I want to get out and have a look around and see what we've got here because there's a shit ton of bikes. So I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you with that. Stay safe, stay on two wheels if you're already out there riding, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. And if you're not already, make sure you like and subscribe because I'm really enjoying making these videos, and seeing the channel grow the way it has been doing since I've started posting regularly has been really motivational. I'm really enjoying making the content. So yeah, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and make sure you comment below as well. Anything else that I may have forgotten about new riders, or if ask any questions, I'll get back to you. So post those questions below, and if you look at my other videos, you'll see I always get back to people. Anyway, I'm waffling. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.
Here we go then. Ah, you're joking. All this faffing and now I'm going to be stuck behind that bloody lorry.